It was so worth it. I loved the movie. Really? Are you sure you were watching the movie or you were watching Jake? Of course I was watching the movie. Yeah? What happened after Dawson nearly crippled Wayne and Professor Connery was in danger? Huh, trick question. Wayne is undefeatable. You know what, Caitlin? I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night. You weren't watching the movie. Alright. Maybe I skipped a few parts here and there. You know how difficult it's been to meet with Jake? Yeah, like you guys don't sneak in your house every Saturday morning when your parents go out. He told you? He was my friend before he was your boyfriend, alright? But he forgot we were friends before he came into the picture. Tell me what you know, or else. Look ahead, Caitlin, you're gonna crash the car, you idiot. Hey, I'm a way better driver than you. I can drive with my eyes closed. Caitlin, I'm serious, hit the brakes. Caitlin suddenly noticed something dark pop up right in front of the car. If it wasn't for a split second, there would have been an accident. Caitlin swerved the car around as Sandra looked back, barely able to see a deer sprint off the other way. What was that thing doing just standing in the middle of the highway road? It was an animal! Well, it should have had better instincts. Talking about instincts, mine are telling me to hurry out of here. What would we have done if you actually hit that thing? The same if you ask me. I would have fled. You're so bad. Caitlin and Sandra were two best friends in their senior year of high school. They grew up in the small town of Wells in Maine and had been friends since childhood. The girls were really close, their families even knew each other, and Caitlin and Sandra often spent time at each other's houses. Like tonight, they had gone out to watch the latest BII movie, or at least Sandra did. Caitlin went to meet her boyfriend Jake. After a fun night of popcorn, cotton candy, and sitting by the beach awkwardly watching Caitlin and Jake be corny lovers, Sandra had just about enough of her single life and called it a day. Although, she knew she was just commencing part 2. Listening to Caitlin all night about Jake, and what made it worse, she was sleeping over. Sandra pulled down the car windows and let in the cool, wet breeze of the coastal town. She could smell the ocean from here, but there was nothing but the woods for miles and miles. So what happened to that guy you liked? Dean, you were texting him 24/7. Sometimes they don't turn out to be what they post on their profiles, is all I'm gonna say for this one. No way. Tell me what happened. I'm not even being shallow, it was a totally different guy on his profile picture. The girls suddenly noticed a car parked up ahead in the middle of this lonely highway. It was past 7 and the skies outside were pitch dark already. As Caitlin passed by the car, Sandra peered out to see if anyone was inside. She just barely caught a glimpse of a man wearing a cap put his hands up on the steering. It was just seconds after they passed the car that the headlights turned on, and the car took a speedy U-turn and drove onto the lane behind them. Was that a coincidence, or is he tailing us? Psh, coincidence. This is totally a gang initiation. Before you know it, a bunch of other cars are gonna pop up. They'll surround our car, loot our things, and abduct us, Caitlin said, looking into the side view mirror. You know you fantasize way too much. But don't worry, this is Maine. You ever heard of something happen like this, especially in this small town? I wish I grew up in the city. I can't wait to move to California. Yeah, and leave me here all alone, right? Sandra, don't be like that. We'll figure something out. I just don't know why you want to stay here. 'Cause it's home sweet home. There's no creeps and criminals here, but there's plenty in California. You know, those who obsess about criminal minds tend to have one. Tell me one that grew up to be a lawyer or a judge. Really, Sandra, what have you been doing lately? I noticed you don't pick up my calls on Sunday nights. I was planning how to hunt my first target, and you know what they say. Friends and family always come first. Sandra turned her head and looked out again. The car was still there, right behind them. Maybe there's a reason why this car is following us. He's still following us? Why don't you move to the next lane? Well, for one, you're not supposed to. Come on, Caitlin, it's not time to be a jolly good citizen now. There aren't any other cars on the road, and besides, did you realize he's been following us for 15 minutes now? Caitlin drove the car to the next lane, expecting the car behind them to move on, but strange as it was, he kept in place, seemingly driving on with them. Caitlin cranked up the speed, but the car behind them only did the same and caught up with them. Alright, now this is getting freaky. This creep is following us. What are we gonna do? Stopping the car definitely won't be a smart idea. We're still pretty far from home. It's gonna take at least 20 minutes to reach back. I guess we'll be fine as soon as we drive into the neighborhood. All of a sudden, the car behind them roared loudly as the man pulled up, driving almost by their side. Caitlin nervously peered a glance at the driver, panicked when she saw him turn his head and look at her under his cap. She didn't hesitate to press on the accelerator. Dude, you're hitting it over 80 miles per hour. You want me to slow down so he can catch up with us? Sandra looked at Caitlin frantically. You really think he's some sort of criminal? I don't know, but a regular person probably wouldn't be in the mood to race a random nobody in the middle of a deserted highway route. Now would he? It's not even funny anymore, Caitlin. I'm getting freaked out. For a while it seemed that the man kept raising his speed, trying to catch up with them, but every time he did, Caitlin raised her speed. She was a pretty good driver, and she was running smooth at even 90 miles per hour. But Sandra's heart was going to pump out of her chest. Caitlin, you have to slow down. We're almost home. I'll slow down when we make the turn into the neighborhood. Suddenly, noticing a red and blue hue of light, the girls looked into the rearview mirror to see police lights flashing on the car behind them. You idiot, Sandra! It was an undercop this whole time and you were making me freak out. Well, it's always better safe than sorry. Wait a minute. Whoa. Shoot, Caitlin, it's a cop. I think we're gonna have to pull over. Heck no, I have no wishes in getting arrested in the middle of a highway for speeding. I applied to BII. I can't have criminal records, at least not this early. What are we going to do? We'll keep going until we reach home. My parents are there. We'll explain everything to them and they'll handle it with him. Is it me with the twisted mind or is it you? Caitlin kept driving as Sandra nervously kept her eye on the car. With the weather now felt so chilly, she grabbed onto her sweater as her hair blew back, fast in the wind. She tried to get a good view of the man. They weren't speeding when they first drove past him. Why did he start following them in the first place? Do you have a lot of parking tickets or something? Or did you run a red light? No, I didn't, and they're all settled. Strange. The girls breathed out in relief when they finally saw the green destination board indicating their way back home. However, when they switched lanes, the police car behind them didn't. And as Caitlin drove onto the narrow road, the undercop turned off the car lights once again and drove down the highway route. Caitlin and Sandra returned home at around 8 that night, and Caitlin frantically told her mother what had happened. I told you girls you shouldn't have gone out so late, but you don't listen to me, do you? We were freaking out today, Mom. Did you get the license plate number, the cop's badge number, anything? We didn't stop the car, Mrs. Jones. All we can say is that it was a black car. After that experience, the girls didn't drive out far so late at night again, and especially not on Route 1. Come the following year, Caitlin moved to California and Sandra stayed back in Wells. The years went by, but the girls were still in touch and met every year during the winter and spring breaks. Caitlin, did you see the news? Sandra, it's 5 in the morning. Check the news in Maine right now, Caitlin. What is it? Caitlin groaned as she turned on the TV. The police have been bewildered when they discovered an uncanny similarity in a number of cases that ranged over the last 13 years. At the time of the murders, no one had suspected it to be linked with any other. But when the pictures all came together, it frightened not just the authorities, but the families of those victims. Young women had been despicably taken advantage of and murdered, and they were all picked up on Route 1 that ran through the coastal towns in Maine. This criminal had quite the cunning tactic, tailing his victims, after which he would turn on his police lights, pretending to be an undercop. It all took a stop when this man targeted the wrong woman, A female officer heading back home with her teenage daughter escaped his hands and called backup immediately. Unfortunately, the police were late for many because many women had innocently stopped abiding the law only to fall victim to a serial killer. Caitlin widened her eyes as she watched the news. She gulped as she held her phone. You mean, that night, years ago, it wasn't a cop after all. We were being tailed by this guy? If we had stopped the car that night, we wouldn't be alive. Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.